guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout. We have another little quick discussion video for you guys since, we're still on hiatus. That fucking sucks. I miss Bachi. But, we're looking at Hakuri's character and like his downward trend in the story, or his role at least, post Rakuzaichi, and what that means going forward once we cut back to the group. How you feel about Hakuri and his place in the story, like currently, as we have left off, part 1. I guess we could start there.
I think polarizing, to say the very least, in terms of, kind of opinions on the matter, and even how I myself kind of feel about it, because I am a bit conflicted. I mean, we've been talking about this since, basically Assault on Kamunabi HQ. I know, towards the end of that arc, you and me talked a lot about how there was a lack of, Chihiro and Hakuri's reunion, right? Like, we never saw them meet up again. And, looking back at that point, seeing just kind of like how less involved he was in the narrative, considering his role in the Rakuzaichi arc, it's always been like a very interesting conversation to have, because, and I'll just say this off rip, right? Like, to me, it's not so much that Hakuri has fallen off as a character, and more so that the story has juggled a lot more, characters and plot points. When you really think about it, Hakuri has come in clutch in the 2 out of the 3 arcs post Rakuzaichi, right? And we can get into what exactly he's done in a bit, but yeah, I think it all depends on who you ask. And like I said, I'm pretty conflicted myself, because even though I really like Hakuri and what he brings to the story, there has just been so much going on in Kagurabachi, and not even, factoring in the whole flashback arc we're currently in. But like, it just feels like the scope of the story has gotten so much wider and just bigger in general, that Hakuri just feels small, in the wider context of things. But I still think there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to his character. I guess I'll say that for now.
I mean, I think he'll always be a pivotal part of like the overall, or the overarching like story, because of what Storehouse means to Chihiro's plan. But like, the conversation on Enchanted Blades has changed a lot since the beginning of the story. It came down to like where we couldn't, imagine really like Chihiro handing an enchanted blade to anybody. But now everyone just seems to think that like Toby Mune is going to go to Iori. If he does make another Cloud Gouger, Natsuki's going to, get it. And, like the overall like feeling of the Enchanted Blades, like post Rakuzaichi, is very different than like say now. But that doesn't mean his like Hakuri's role, I kind of went on a tangent there, my bad, but that doesn't mean Hakuri's role is going to diminish too much, because like, I mean, we all know Storehouse is like a crazy ass but like busted ability, you know what I mean? And he can be vital to like support on the battlefield. He can be instrumental in their plans. Like you said, we'll talk about like what he has accomplished in the arcs after the Rakuzaichi. He was gone for a while, and that like, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. I'm kind of yapping here, but we don't get to see the reunion of him and Chihiro. Like, some people defend it, and if you feel that way, fine, cool, I respect it. But me personally, I felt like that should have like been a priority over the Samura thing. Personally, like, not saying that we didn't have, could have skipped it or anything, but I just feel like there could have been we should have saw the Hakuri reunion, just because of like the important role him and Chihiro's like bond, like, they're like, Hakuri will ride and die for him, and we just don't get to see it. That, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, and even though apologies for the dogs in the background. Even though since that moment, I like even then I remember like us being in a bit of a disagreement because it wasn't that like as important for me, and like I have always, like we say, right, let Hokuzono cook. I'm still wondering if he was deliberate in doing that, right? What sort of situation are we going to find those boys in when we return back to present day? Especially if there isn't really a time skip, right? Which, there very much like very well could be. We obviously we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that's why I brought this up. Like I brought that up at the beginning of the conversation, because for many like yourself, that might have been like an indicator of Hakuri's role in the story and how Hokuzono himself as the writer like views Hakuri and what he might have planned for him, right? Like I said, to me, I'm very conflicted even as it relates to him not being present in the ending of the final arc of part 1. It is like a big question mark in terms of like, well, he was pretty much set up as like the deuterogenist, right? And we know that Kagurabachi doesn't exactly have like a main trio, at least so far. It doesn't really look like it. There's a lot of characters that surround Chihiro and, complement him as the main character. But Hakuri was like the closest thing that felt to like a deuterogenist, right? Like he is Chihiro's right hand. So to see like his absence at the end of part 1 is like, I could see how that could be cause for concern for some people, even if I myself am just like, well, maybe Hokuzono, maybe there's something he's doing here. We just don't know at this point.
I mean, he could be playing on like there's issue, like we know that his sorcery's already like been halved, and to like save his sorcery, they kind of like halved his like neural network or whatever it was. So his usage of Iso and Storehouse is like not what it was. And I mean, I gotta say, he did use Iso a decent bit towards the end of the HQ, because just that what it took for him to fight against Yuki Sada, he had to register Kiri, store her in there, then teleport her out. Then he also used a sword, like he teleported one of the swords that he stored early in the arc to shoot at your boy Yuki Sada. Then he also registered and stored the core station vessel. We know he's got to get him out of there. So like just all like that, I wonder if that was enough usage to like really mess his brain up further, to where like maybe I don't know. I was about to say the Masumi need to heal him like they were going to do at the temple. But the thing is, he didn't even take the journey with Chihiro to go to see the Masumi. I mean, of course, Shiba's there. They can always teleport. But you know what I mean? Like, we didn't even get to...
Yeah.
So maybe it's something with the storehouse.
Yeah, I mean, that's like... You reminded me of that aspect in this whole thing, right? Like, is the storehouse just kind of a bit of an obstacle from the writing, like, perspective of things? Like, for Hokuzono? Like, just riding around the storehouse and how it can, really be like... It's kind of like Shiba when you think about it.
Not to cut you off, but...
Yeah.
Hakuri can realistically store 4 of the enchanted blades currently, just because the 2 bearers he should be able to get in contact with. Even if you say that they can't get in contact with Hiyuki, who's like guarding Pinky, then Hakuri can still seal 3 of the enchanted blades, or at least register and store them. Which that means taking the Subaru's blade back from Kaguri. So like, my bad to cut you off, but just saying, like, that's a pretty big deal,
Yeah, and like, you have to wonder if that's, part of it, which is, it's exactly what I was about to bring up. I mean, I also wonder, again, for like Hokuzono, did he always plan for Hakuri to kind of be... kind of cast aside as he introduces all these other characters, and there's all, especially like in Kamunabi HQ, so many, things going on. Like, did he always know that he was going to kind of have to put Hakuri, like sit him on the sideline for a little bit as he kind of juggles all these other things? Or did he intend for Hakuri to have like an increasing role, like an increasingly bigger role post Rakuzaichi with every following arc? And he just kind of ran into all the other things he's been trying to establish when it comes to Kagurabachi, and just kind of realized that it was the way it had to be, right? Obviously we know that Hokuzono has had a lot of this, like a large chunk, if not most of the story already mapped out. But obviously, like writing the story itself, especially with a week-to-week serialization, you have to think that you run into certain things that you don't anticipate when you're kind of
story outline,
storyboarding, you
get a new idea that really like excites you, but then you're like, man, this would be best for a story, but Storehouse basically puts is an obstacle for that. So it's like, what do you prioritize?
Facts, because it could be a combination of all these things that we're talking about. And like, we said we were going to bring up like what Hakuri's done. So obviously Rakuzaichi arc, we have like the amazing Storehouse awakening.
Balled out. That
right,
boy
balled out like crazy. He has the best panel in the arc, which is like him sitting at the stairs as everything is blowing up around him. He has the mask on. Like that dude was just aura farming like crazy that arc. And
he was moving wild. Like I was like, this little motherfucker's moving me.
I mean, dude, he moved all of us. And again, that's kind of like why we're having this conversation, because I think a lot of people really were expecting his role to just be bigger and bigger with every following arc, right? So I think for a lot of people, it's like, this isn't exactly what they expected. But like I said up top, it isn't for a lack of performance from Hakuri's part, because despite there being so much going on in the Swordbearer assassination arc, he's the one who gets Tobimune in the hands of Samura. Now, granted, it's not his fault that Samura had his own agenda, and obviously we know what happens there, right? Or from there. But that moment where Samura got Tobimune, he saved everybody, and that was like a scene, like those were like insane
Chihiro also
scenes.
caught a sword to the chest and the torso because of that, but
we're not talking about that though.
He's like, everyone's saved, and then Chihiro's getting clapped.
Yeah.
They're like, well, fuck us, right?
No, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, saving the Masumi is gonna pay off,
getting them out of there,
Yeah. Like I said, it's not a lack of performance, it's a lack of participation. And, his thing is, like, during the temple, there's no issues with him, like, being put on injured reserve and getting healed, by Sumi on the sideline, knowing that his, like, condition and, how important he is, and he's, like, integral to the plans. But then, like, right after that, he gets sidelined again to be healed. It's like back to back.
Yeah.
Like he's gone for a chunk, like 30, 40 chapters. And then he, it's like, I don't know, like just or not back to back, I guess would be a bad way to look at that. But, cause like the Sumi thing, it was like very short. And I mean, that healing, I guess it was easier to like, digest. But like, being gone for that span of chapters, and it's like a medical leave, it kind of just sucked. Just because, like, I want to see more from him,
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. And, like, that's something that I failed to bring up as you were talking about the assault on Kamunabi HQ and like, everything that Hakuri did towards the end there, like especially against like Yukisada and with Kiri and teleporting the core station vessel. It kind of feels like in those couple of chapters, Hokuzono completely forgot about like the brain damage, because that was like something that he had been trying to juggle, in the chapters and the arcs like before that, was like juggling the state of Hakuri's ability to use the storehouse, and I feel like that might be something else that he was kind of struggling in terms of juggling that, right? Because it always felt like, well, Hakuri, he's reaching his limit, and he's reached his limit, and then he's just doing all these, coming in clutch once again. And towards the end of the Kamunabi HQ, you kind of stopped, as far as I can recall right now, right? If I can recall correctly, we completely stopped hearing about like what his status was when it came to that toll on just overusing the storehouse.
I remember I had an issue with that too. Remember, because I was worried about it being, during the podcast episodes, during that, I was always worried about like, is this going to be a thing that's just like, it's on like a need to know basis, and then it's up to Hokuzono, like kind of a device to either like Hakuri to come in clutch when he needs him to get him out of a situation, but like it's when the plot demands it type of thing.
Yeah, so again, there's all these little things surrounding Hakuri's character that you have to imagine that it might have, played some part in how Hokuzono has decided to handle his character in the last couple of arcs. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, does this thing in the Sword Bearer assassination arc by teleporting Tobimune, and in the assault on Kamunabi HQ, he doesn't just like teleport the core station vessel, but he does it at a point where like they were saying that the only option was to kill him, and he figures it out. He's able to leverage again his storehouse to just kind of find the loophole in what they're trying to do and not risk any lives, right? Like I remember in the chapter review, I was saying like that was some superhero shit, and that really was like an amazing moment for Hakuri. I mean, if it isn't for that, Shiba never pulls up and Yura isn't teleported outside. So like we can't understate like how clutch he came in. If we don't want to give him the, teleporting Tobimune, that's fine. But we definitely got to give him credit for like how clutch he comes in the assault on Kamunabi HQ. Again, he's just a victim of everything that's going around him, because how can we really like appreciate that when you also have what's this dude's face? God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Oh my God, I was about to call him Ikuto. I'm sorry. I was about to call him Ikura. When you have Ikuto pulling up, you have Kiri doing her thing, you have Hokuto introduced, you have 3 other Hishaku members introduced, the whole raid itself, like in Kamunabi HQ, Akamura gets introduced shortly after. Yura's just going crazy, Azami, and it's like there's so much going on, and everybody kind of gets their moment of in under the spotlight. It just feels like again, Hakuri just kind of feels small amidst everything else that's going on at the same time. But when you really kind of like isolate the role he's played outside of everything else, like what he's done for the story and how integral he's been and just how key he's been in terms of like for the good guys, there's still, like I said, there's still, at least for me, I still have like a lot to look forward to, right? Like I don't think Hokuzono is going to fumble his character. There's another question to be had of what exactly is Hokuzono, like we can kind of get into this a little bit if you want and kind of theorize, but like what is it that Hokuzono is trying to do with Hakuri's character by the time it's all said and done? What does Hakuri need to do in the story for us to feel like his character wasn't wasted? And that's a whole nother conversation we can touch on in a little bit. But I have full faith in that Hokuzono knows exactly what he's doing with Hakuri's character, even if he's kind of encountered, like we talked about, obstacles when it comes to writing him, right?
Yeah. But
I'm not really worried, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. I think I just have kind of like how his moments, most of Hakuri's moments are huge in the story. Like he's always like the big things. He's always like when he makes moves, they're like impactful. It just seems like, but if he's not making a big move, then he's just kind of like a fly on the wall almost. He's kind of like, he does have his moments, like, sure, but like if you really look at like everything he's done, obviously he was out for like a large span of chapters, but in the Kabunabi HQ, like up until he got to that point with the Yukisada fight, he didn't really, he's kind of the target, really. They're like, kill Hakuri. He's like
victim.
a mouse. Yeah, he's being chased. And I mean, to be fair, like, it's the Hishaku, they're elite sorcerers and all that, so like we can give him a break there. But like, that's how his character always feels. Like
a damsel in distress.
Yeah, either he's a damsel in distress, he's on medical leave, or he's making the biggest fucking plays in the series. And there's
it's like no in between, right?
Yeah. And like when he teleported the core station vessel, like I don't even know how he did that really. I don't know how he really registered him, but that neither here nor there. I guess like we can wrap up and just talk about like like you mentioned what it would need for his character to kind of feel like I don't want to say complete, but like just so like he just doesn't feel like he kind of gets left in the background. And I'm sure people are gonna I can hear the comments, Okazono isn't gonna forget about Hakuri. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we both said he's integral to like the plans. He'll always be vital, but it's just at what level. And going forward, I think it'd be really interesting if the Sazanami clan comes back into the story, because we know Akamura wants to kill the clans, so maybe he feels like he wants to save his siblings.
Yeah, and obviously there's, Enji and Tamaki are still somewhere out there, and even Soya, which obviously we have no idea if he's gonna, if he's gonna be folded back into the main story, but he's alive. If there's a character, a sibling of his that could be integral to his, Hakuri's character arc later down the line, it would be Soya. Just in terms of like what he means to Hakuri and the history between those two characters. I guess like for me, what would suck is if like the Rakuzaichi arc was like as much or like as big of a spotlight as Hakuri's gonna get. If that was the peak, the Rakuzaichi arc, in terms of like how much focus he's gonna get in the story, if that's as much as he's gonna get, which again, Rakuzaichi arc, he showed out and that was great. But if that was the peak, if that was it, then it would feel like a bit of a disappointment because of how much the Rakuzaichi arc also sets up. And Hakuri's character, the body of work post Rakuzaichi arc, despite, because I think the issue is, despite these great feats, or like these clutch moments, is the screen time. Really, I think this is really what it boils down to, what we're talking about. He's out there and he's doing his thing, but a lot of times it's just way
not a performance, it's a participation issue.
Exactly, yeah, where you just don't see him, right? And or if you do, it's just too few and far in between. And again, this mostly applies to the Assault on Kamunabi HQ, which is the second longest arc after the Rakuzaichi arc. So like I said, let's let Hokazono cook. He might still have like a lot of things planned for Hakuri's character, and we likely have just no idea, right? But for me, like, what would Hakuri need to do for me to feel like his character wasn't wasted? I think it's as simple as, like I alluded to just now, just him having a moment as big as not a moment, but more so like an arc, let's say, or a stretch of chapters, yes, where he's like as relevant or as integral, or like I said, like where it feels like the spotlight is on him as much as it was in the Rakuzaichi arc. If he has at least another, like I said, just in terms of importance and presence, if he gets to like replicate that at some point in the story, and obviously his character is consistently present, where like he doesn't have to be there all the time, but it just feels like there is a solid direction for his character. Like we know where he's headed.
Urgency.
Yeah, there's like different ways where we can phrase it, right? But like, and not to bring up Megami, right? But like I despite like however you may feel about Megami's character, and I'm sure there'll be like a whole range of opinions as it relates to the people listening to this, there are like, you can point to specific reasons of why his character feels like a letdown, putting aside like all the slander, all the memes, this and that, like there are things that you can point to in terms of his lack of agency, his lack of, like you say, participation towards the second half of the story. And obviously I won't get into the spoilers for anime onlys or the people that haven't read JJK, but there are things that you can point to in terms of why people felt disappointed or had like strong feelings to why they felt like the character didn't live up to expectations, not necessarily in the story, but for readers, right? For Hakuri, it's kind of like avoiding that sort of trajectory, right? Like you can't have a situation where Hakuri just falls off for like a whole second half of the story, you know?
And Megami is a good shout.
And for those that don't know, like Megami's probably my favorite character in JJK, so I might get some comments for that. But I'm just trying to be objective here when it comes to like why people have these strong opinions as it relates to characters, or specifically deuterogenists, like roles in the story, especially when they've been set up in such a way in the first half of a story, you know? For Hakuri, he just has to be relevant, man. He has to keep doing his thing, and he has to be present in the story. We have to see him on panel with Chihiro doing his thing, having an impact consistently.
The thing with Megami is, as you said, there's reasons like you can point to that like stand out and like scream that Megami is you could say almost mishandled, or his like the execution of his character is lacking, or there's much to be desired. But if you really look at his character and get away all from the like internet bullshit and the memes, the truth is his character is set up in a way that speaks to exactly what happened to him. Spoilers, but like that was Gege's intention with Megami's character. The fans wanted something more, so it's about that distinction of like, what does Hokuzono really have planned for Hakuri? Like, is he just gonna appear like when a big play needs to happen? And and to him, that's not mishandling him, even though the fans want more of Hakuri. That's him like executing Hakuri as he sees fit in his role in the story. The fans just like they kind of like made his role, or made what his future role in the story bigger in their head than what Hokuzono is planning. Not saying that's a bad thing or anything, but it's just one of those things where like you gotta accept what the author's intention is. Like for Megami, he's telling you, I don't want to be a sorcerer. That's the reason why he's a sorcerer is for his sister. And whatever happens in the coming arcs, like all that's gonna play into like why he does what he does or doesn't do. Like it's all there. It's just it's fun to make memes.
For sure. And like I myself like catch myself laughing at them. And like Megami isn't the greatest example as it relates to, like you said, the writer's intention with that character and what their role was always intended to be.
He's really good.
As a comparison to Hakuri, you mean?
No, just as a like that role, like a character that people wanted more, or the fans wanted more of, but the author basically laid out what his character is, and it just wasn't enough for the fans.
Yeah, no, facts. Like I think Gege always knew what he wanted to do with Megami, and he delivered on that. And yeah, fans' expectations are something else entirely. That doesn't exactly mean that Gege was perfect in how he handled Megami, but it was definitely no accident, right? It was definitely not just like a fumbling of the character.
An accident.
No, you're not. Stop it.
No, I am. I was told straight up to my face.
No.
It was like, happy 18th birthday. You're a mistake, by the way.
Stop. No, but to just kind of close the loop on my thought here is like, for Hakuri doesn't feel like that kind of character in terms of like the comparisons with Megami. Like they couldn't be. Oh my God, stop it, man. Stop.
Nah, I'm playing. I don't think he's gonna end up like Megami, to be honest.
Yeah, it just feels like night and day as it relates to author's intentions with the character. As much as I have like my issues with how Gege handled Megami, the intention and the direction and the trajectory was always there, right? Execution to me just wasn't perfect. But with Hakuri, it couldn't be any more different, right? Like, I don't think Hakuri's arc will be anything like Megami's, right? Again, from what I can take away from his current, from like Kokozono's current direction with the character, it feels like he's setting up something much more, just different, entirely different, really. And like I said, I have full faith that Hokazono will deliver. I think he's fully aware of what he's doing with the character at the moment. And it'll be, like you said, can fans temper their expectations, and can we meet like the writer halfway and accept like what it is that he's cooking up? And if it just so happens that that doesn't line up with fan expectations or reader expectations or what Hakuri fans thought he was gonna be, like I've seen people talking about how he's gonna surpass the first patriarch, and it's like, yeah, like he has Iso and the storehouse, like.
But he's also halfway usage of them bitches too.
Exactly.
He's already been halved. Like, he's already been nerfed.
And he's like, what, like 14?
No, he's 17.
He's 17. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, see, like he always feels much younger than he actually is, which is.
Yeah, he got the brain of a 70-year-old.
Damn, I said 14.
He might have to wear a helmet by the end of the series.
So yeah, there's a lot of, we could talk about like Hakuri forever, as it relates to his role in the story, and the wide range of opinions, and will he meet his potential? Will he not meet his potential?
Will he ever store an enchanted blade?
Well, he was so close. Later. He was so close to storing Magatsumi, right? And Yura did his thing.
It's always that. He's always so close.
It's always if, right? If and when.
It's always if, never when. Like, it's so funny. I instantly go to slander him. Just like I just undo everything I said. But no, I mean, I'm just messing. Got a meme. Internet bullshit.
For sure. But yeah, I that's my piece on this conversation. Really
nice piece.
Thank you.
I like you, bitch. All right. I think that'll do it for us. We're losing, getting lost in the plot over here as well, or I am at least. Fun discussion as always. Let us know in the comment section how you feel about Hakuri, and don't just be like overly biased or like, attack us for the things that we say. I mean, honestly, I think we're both coming from just an objective place.
Nah, you can do that. You can attack us, whatever.
Feel free. Yeah, just know
do what you want.
It's coming back. I'll talk about how the back of your arms float in a tub and the top of your belt stinks. So don't come for me, come for Dice.
Come for me. Guys. It's all good.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, good talk always. And we'll have a stream coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. And I think that'll do it. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Peace.